Morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to wait for some people to tune in. While you're tuning in, let me just pull up my talking points. How's everyone doing? How was your 4th of July? I'm actually in Atlanta, so I wanted to come on live before I started my day. So I'm actually going live from my hotel room in case you're wondering where I am. If you're in here, definitely drop a comment in the box. Say hi. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I am in Atlanta, so maybe I will escape Hurricane Elsa, which should be, making landfall today or tomorrow, and Florida. So I'm excited about that. Hi, this is Sharm on TikTok. All right, those of you on Facebook, just give me a second. Let me just pull up what I want to talk to you guys about. Let's see. Okay. All righty. So now that I have that opened, let me get back on my screen. Okay, so let me introduce myself, guys. And remember, you can, good morning, Roxanne on Facebook. Good morning, everybody on YouTube. Again, my name is Aisha Chidowe. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients in all 50 states in the United States with their family immigration matter. Even though I'm located in Orlando, Florida, I'm actually in Atlanta. I'm here on business and pleasure. We have an office here in Atlanta, so I'm actually going live before I head into the office in my hotel room, in case you're wondering where the background is. So today I want to talk. Oh, wait. And my phone number here is 407-995-6567. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp. That number is 404-333-8751. If you guys see me going up and down, it's because I'm on TikTok on one device. I'm on Facebook and YouTube on one device. So, me going up and down is just to make sure that I'm looking at my audience on both pages. As always, I would love for you to share this video as I go into an area that people always ask a lot of questions about. Share the video, share it with your friends. If you have any family members going through this, you can feel free to share it. And I apologize in advance because I know the lighting is not that great. So, that's what it is. So today I want to talk about, basically signs of a toxic marriage. A lot of times when we talk about VAWA, which is Violence Against Women's Act, it's an act that's for both men, women, and children and parents who are dealing with abuse at the hands of their, U.S. citizen relatives, whether it's be your parent or your child or your spouse. Okay. And people always ask, well, what are some things? What do I need? What should I show to show that I'm in an abusive marriage? So so one of the first things, of course, I would talk about the most simple thing first of all, which is physical abuse. So physical abuse is obviously a clear sign, that you are in a toxic marriage. If you've got a spouse who pulls your hair, who punches you, who slaps you, bites you, scratches you, or just kicks you, and does things like that, or sometimes some spouses throw objects, even if the object doesn't reach you, but the apprehension that it puts you in, right? And another way that we look at physical is that sometimes people think that, and if you're just tuning in, please say hi. Ignore the bots. I see some bots and some crazy people on TikTok, but go ahead and ignore them. But anyway. Leave your comments in the box or questions. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. I only have 15 minutes today, so I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And, say hi and let me know where you're tuning in from. So as I was saying, another way that you can think about physical abuse is that if you have a spouse that leaves you in a remote area, right, without access to anything, like you guys have an argument, or something while you're driving. Your spouse knows you don't have a car. They know you don't have money, and they stop in the middle of a highway and tell you to get out of the car and figure out where you're going to go. That's abusive. That puts you at physical harm. So do you see how, even though that spouse didn't like punch you in the face, that is physical abuse, because literally anything could happen to you. Another car could hit you. Somebody could rape you. Somebody could assault you, right? Hi, Cherise from Germany. How are you doing, Cherise? That's what time? Okay, well, you guys are about, I think, 6 hours ahead. So it's, afternoon your time now. Or if you have a spouse who does these things to you and doesn't allow you to call 911 for your safety, or threatens you that if you're going to call 911, that they're going to do something, right, to you. So those are signs of physical abuse, where it's not necessarily physical, but the act of what they're doing could cause you physical endangerment, or sometimes, you have spouses that will make you do things that are against your will. If your spouse does drugs or something like that, using that as an example, and they're forcing you to do something because, and you don't want to do it, or they put you in reckless endangerment. Some spouses, and I say spouses, but here I'm talking about, different, it could be your parent, it could be your child, where they start driving recklessly as a form of intimidation, right, to scare you because they're pissed, and stuff like that. So those are all signs of physical abuse that don't necessarily have to do with physically touching you, but putting you at risk of physical injury. Hi, Andrea Charles from New York. Thank you for tuning in. I know this is not my normal time. Like I said, it's summer. My kids, there's more flexibility in their school schedule. So I'm going to try and come on live, almost every morning, or as much as I can. Let me know, make promises that I can keep. Hi, Obioma from Tampa. Thank you for tuning in. So let's talk about, the second one I want to talk about is emotional stuff, right? So, a lot of times, people don't understand, well, what is emotional abuse? Well, think about how your spouse makes you feel, right? Think about the word feel. When you think about the word feel, that is what allows you to, that's what allows you to understand the difference between emotional abuse versus, psychological abuse. Like, if you have a spouse that makes you feel like you're crazy, like you're the problem, that they're the ones that are sane, that's abuse. Okay. If you have a spouse that makes you feel guilty in order to get what they want, they tell you, well, if I didn't marry you, if I didn't help you get your work permit, if I didn't help you do this, you will never be this. If you don't do it for me, I'm going to do this to you. If you don't help me, I'm going to make sure, if you don't let me win the argument, I'm going to make sure that you don't have any money to spend. I'm going to make sure that I close a bank account. I'm going to make sure that I don't add anything to any of our paperwork so that we don't look married. I'm going to make sure I sabotage the marriage so that you'll never be able to get your green card. So those are signs of things that they do that are emotionally abusive. Or if you have a spouse who excludes you from every decision, right, that you make in the household. Today, you're sitting down tomorrow, it's like, look, hon, I bought a car. Look, hon, I bought a house. Those are things that partners make decisions together. But sometimes you have people, in marriages that they make these decisions without, letting their spouse know. Hi, Carlene. I'm listening from Jamaica. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you, MK Cash Money, for tuning in as well. Sorry, guys, I'm like trying to mess around with my TikTok a little bit to see some of those things. Okay, I got it. So again, if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Aisha Chidolwe. I'm an immigration attorney. I'm based out in Orlando area, Florida. I'm currently in Atlanta today, and I am coming to you live from my hotel room, in case you're wondering what this dark background is. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video, and share and like my channel so that you can be notified. You can put the notification button on top just so that you can be notified, whenever I talk about something. Okay, so I just talked about emotional. So now I want to talk about, sexual abuse. So a lot of times people just think sexual abuse is rape. So, of course, rape is sexual assault and abuse, but it is not the only way that you can. Oh, Larry. Hi, Larry from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Atlanta too. You come in and tell me what's good to do in the city or cool to do here. So I am actually in town with my kids. So, every day after I finish working, I'm probably going to try to, take them somewhere to explore what's going on in the city. Okay, so if you have somebody who basically asserts their power or control over you from an intimacy standpoint as a way, so like let's say they either refuse sex because they want to show you, like they want to teach you a lesson, right? That's abusive behavior. Or they guilt you into being intimate with them. Again, tied into the emotional, where somebody's telling you that if you don't do this, I won't do this for you, or they use it as a punishment. Well, I'm going to deal with you because you did this to me. Or they tell you that because let me use a woman, for example, and sometimes it could be a man. Because you're a woman, because you're a man, you owe me sex. You must sleep with me. You must do this for me. Or sometimes you have some people that are nymphomaniacs, where it's like, you must have sex with me every single day. We must sleep together every single day. And for the other partner, maybe they can't do that. Right. And then another form of sexual abuse is, if you have a spouse who doesn't allow you to have a say in your family planning, if you have a spouse who, intentionally doesn't use a condom, or who intentionally doesn't use birth control pills, trying to entrap you, or vice versa, or you desire to have that and they're, using those forms of protection that you don't know about without talking about it together, because those are critical discussions that married couples have. So those are some other signs of toxic, sexual abuse, intimacy, cruelty, or whatever you want to call it. And then, we have the category of financial. And again, guys, I don't have a lot of time today. You can put your comments in the or your questions in the comment box. I'm going to wrap up just the 2 or 3 other areas I want to talk about, and I'll probably take a few questions before I jump off at 9:30. So financial abuse, if you're working under the table, your spouse is threatening to report you to the IRS, your spouse doesn't want you to better yourself or, get a job, because, a lot of people understand, a lot of abusers understand that the key to leaving for a spouse, a victim leaving, is financial freedom. So a lot of people stay in marriages that are horrendous because they're so afraid of how they're going to survive, because they don't have the financial freedom. And that's one of the great things about VAWA. Let me just dissect. Because, for a long time, you have a spouse who has refused, right, to petition for you. You can't get your work permit. You can't go to school. You can't do anything. So you're stuck in this relationship because literally you depend on this person to eat and to survive. And that is a power mechanism. But, when you put this application in 6 to 8 months, you get your work permit. You're able to find a job. You're able to leave. You're able to walk away from that situation. So a lot of spouses understand that. When I say a lot of spouses that are abusive is what I'm trying to say. So they restrict you from going out to go get that school because they know that you're going to better yourselves, or from going out to go work those hours. And then sometimes you have it the other way around, where they're like, oh, you know what? My spouse seems to be a hardworking person, so I'm going to abuse it. I'm just not going to work. So the person can just be working and paying money and paying all the money. I'm going to go get my hair done. I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go get a haircut, whatever, people use their money for. So those are also forms of financial abuse. Let's see what else. If they deny you access to family income, like you don't even know anything about the income, you have to show them your receipts. If you buy something, deny you access to, basic soap, basic feminine products. Like, I've had clients where their spouses denied them from that. It's like, whatever we buy, this is what you're going to use, and stuff like that. So I see a question on TikTok, and I'm definitely gonna answer that because I think that's a good question to talk about. So those are some things. Of course, guys, when I list out these things, none of these things are exhaustive. By the way, this is just giving you an idea because a lot of people always want to know, well, what would qualify me, for a certain thing. Let me see, my mouse is not working. Okay, there we go. What will qualify me? What are some things I don't really know? But sometimes when I try to simplify it and break it down like this, it helps people to understand where they fall, in this in what I'm talking about. And then of course, you have verbal abuse. Verbal abuse is exactly what it is. Verbally, your spouse annihilates you verbally, like talks bad about you, says all those things about you. I don't even want to use all the explicit the expletives that people use in abusive relationships, but I'm sure you guys can understand what I'm talking about. And then if you have someone that continuously accuses you of cheating, sometimes it could be to cover up their own cheating. Like maybe your spouse is cheating, but they're accusing you because they're guilty of it, but they want to project that on you, right? You have spouses that make fun of your English, right? Or make fun of your language, depending on where or what country you're from, or humiliates you in public, or around your friends and your family. Or if you ever confided in your spouse about something bad that happened to you growing up and your spouse makes fun of that or uses that as a way to abuse you and say, well, this happened to you, you were raped or you were molested as a child because you're like this or something like that, you know. Same thing, if they're sending you negative messages on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and all that stuff. And again, whenever you get these messages, you should always save those things as evidence because those will be really critical when you're submitting your case based on VAWA to show, look at some of the things that my spouse or my parent or my child says to me, or sometimes some spouses will go on a tirade on social media. You guys see celebrities do that all the time. Look at Erica Mena. Let me use Erica Mena as an example, who, filed for divorce from her husband, Safari. I don't know how many of you guys follow popular culture. And even though she filed for divorce, she posted this whole thing about her husband having an affair and being having a baby in the hospital, whereas she wanted him out. She wanted him to leave her. So any of that stuff, like if your spouse is putting your business on social media, like and sharing with the world what's going on with you guys, those things can affect people from a mental psyche. And then of course the last but not the least, and which usually has the stronger component, is psychological. Psychological abuse, the way your spouse argues with you in an intimidating way, the way they look at you, where you're scared. So it's like they may never physically hit you, but they're scared. They smash things. When they're angry, lift up something and throw it, So even though it's not towards you, it's scary. Or you have a spouse that has weapons and is like yielding the weapons and showing, look, I have this gun, I have this whatever, just to scare you. Or hide your important documents, hide your immigration paperwork, hide your work permit, hide your, driver's license, your passport, and all those things. And then, this type of people, from a psychological standpoint, what happens is they will do this, and another day they could be apologizing and sending you all those roses and flowers. Oh, I will never do this again, or whatever. And then some spouses go really deep where they say, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to kill you. That messes people up. So it makes people so afraid, right, to leave this marriages. So obviously there's so much more to talk about, but I don't have time, so I'm not going to get into all of them. I don't know. I think I have time for just one question. So let's see whose question I can answer. Okay, somebody on TikTok says, my daughter is here on a visitor's visa. Can my husband file for her adjustment of status? I have a pending adjustment of status going on now. So Adlam on TikTok, the answer really depends on, one, how long your daughter has been here on the visitor's visa. Two, when you got married to your husband, how old was your daughter? Because if your daughter was over the age of 18 when you got married, he will not be able to petition for her as a step parent. Two, if your daughter was under 18, he could petition for her, but you want to be very careful about when your petition, because it depends on how old she was. It depends on how long she's been in this country. Because if she just came in last week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, you're looking at a presumption of misrepresentation. Usually, when you go through Customs and Border, one of the things they ask you is, "What are you here for, business or pleasure? Are you planning to adjust your status?" I don't know what they asked your daughter at Customs and Border, but basically, you want to wait at least 90 days from that date so that there's no appearance of misrepresentation. And things of that nature. Okay, she's 9 years old. Okay, so she is eligible as a stepchild based on the fact that she was under 18. But you just want to make sure with the timeline that you're doing it correctly, and not right away as soon as she comes. Let's see. Okay, guys, I have 3 more minutes left. Does anybody else have any question before I go? Somebody says, "I'm trying to get an employer green card. How does that work?" In order to get what she's basically asking is that she's trying to get an employment-based green card. That works by you getting a job, and your employer has to sponsor you. So you can find an employer that's willing to sponsor you depending on what your criteria, what is your professional, there's skilled labor and there's unskilled labor. So if you're trying to get like an EB3 or something like that, which is for skilled labor, like whatever, you have to find an employer that's willing to hire you and an employer that can pay you. So, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, I found somebody to hire me," but a lot of times those people cannot pay because those people end up like taking all the deductions in their taxes. By the time their taxes are done, they're not showing any profit in their company. So even though they're making profit, because they're trying to get tax benefits, they're not showing any profit. For immigration purposes, they have to be showing profit. They have to be showing that they can pay you a living wage. And if you can get that, then they certainly can file for you. But keep in mind, if you are in America already, you cannot do it if you're in overstay, meaning that they cannot file for you if you don't have a current visa. So you're better off being outside the country and them filing for you and then bringing you in here, because with EB3, which is unskilled labor, it's going to take you at least 2 years. And the odds are that you're not going to have, an I-94 stamp for 2 years. So someone says, "Can you use both a joint sponsor and a household member to petition for your spouse?" So yeah, it depends on how you guys are filing taxes. So when you said joint sponsor, are you talking about the joint sponsor and their household member? Yeah, you can use, if a joint sponsor files taxes, like let's say you're using maybe your cousin or something and they're filing taxes with their spouse, and the joint sponsor without the household member do not meet the income requirement, you can, but that person needs to fill out an I-64A, understanding what they're committing themselves to, in addition to the actual joint sponsor. So you can do it that way. So let me take this one on Facebook. I have 1 more minute left. So my friend got his prima facie in April. About how long after can he expect his I-360 approval? What's the time frame like? So an I-360, for those who don't know, that is a VAWA petition, basically what I just talked about today. Typically, you get your prima facie determination letter if your case meets the bare minimum. So a prima facie is not a guarantee of an approval, but it's stating that you meet the bare minimum, which I talked about. I think I talked about that on Friday. So if you scroll back to my videos on YouTube or Facebook, you can see that. So you get that between 12 to 15 weeks. That is average. Again, when you give an average with immigration, it doesn't mean that it will come then. I'm just giving you an average timeline. Sometimes it could come before, sometimes it could come after. That's when you get your prima facie determination letter, right? However, VAWA cases take 2 years to 2.5 years. So you want to start counting from when you submitted your petition to at least 2 years, 2.5 years after that. That's what your timeline is going to take. So, what should be coming next, Camille, is that if they did a proper work permit application along with their VAWA submission, hopefully they'll be able to get their work permits between 6 to 8 months from when they filed, and at least they will have that while they are waiting for their case. And as started a couple of weeks ago, now work permits are being issued for 2 years. So at least they will have their work permit and won't need to worry about renewing it until until, they make a decision on their case. If they haven't made a decision on their case, then they renew it for another 2 years. All right, guys, I know there are other questions here, and I do apologize I can't get to them. I have a meeting that I'm already late to, so I have to jump off. I hope you guys have a great day. Tune in at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be on here again. So if you have a question, no, tomorrow I'll be on here, I think at 11, Wednesday at 11. I'll be on here tomorrow. So at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, tune in and ask those questions. I see some of your questions, but sorry, guys, I can't get to it. You can ask them tomorrow, and I would love to answer them, okay? All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day.